Dion Dublin, classic header, no more than Coventry deserve. They've been knocking at the door, and now they've found the way through.
It goes towards Best. It's 1-0 to Coventry. The man in the mask has broken the deadlock. Jamie Allen threads the ball through. Fantastic finish from Matty Gordon. Barely 90 seconds gone.
Good evening and welcome to Sky Blue Fans TV. I'm Milesy. I'm starting the show because Mark's still having his Easter dinner, so he will be on very, very shortly. So I thought I'd jump in, start the show, get it started on time because we know people hang around and they wait for it. First of all, I'd just like to apologise for Friday's show live from Swansea. Unfortunately, a bit of a hell of a journey, 5.5 hours to get there. Didn't get there in time to do the live stream, so I'm really sorry if you were waiting for that to happen. But I'll be live tomorrow, and we'll crack on with it. We'll hand out the cards. We'll get the competition up and running. We've given out 50 cards so far, so we've got 50 to go tomorrow. So there'll be 100 people into the competition for our 200th show on Thursday. So let's crack on with the show. And let's introduce our guests. The host that should have been, and he's just missed his Easter dinner, Mark Smith. Good afternoon, Mark Smith. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, just finished my food, so late joining. Good evening, everyone. Happy Easter. Hope everyone's having a good day. Looking forward to tomorrow's game.
It wasn't roast rabbit, was it?
No, I actually had lamb for lunch, but bit of carbs for dinner, a bit of pasta and a bit of chicken. So
lovely. And we got Ken Stewart sitting in his car outside the Walsgrave pub because he's just about to go in. He's just about to go into an 80s disco. My dreams come true. That would be.
Yes.
Wow.
I thought I'd join you. I thought I'd join you before I go and enjoy and have a little dance.
So Mark's here, so we're going to let Mark host the evening.
Yeah. We'll talk about the Swansea game, and then the second half of the show, so around 8 o'clock, we'll be joined by I think it's the Watford podcast. Do not I can't remember the name. I think it's Do Not Scratch Your Eyes Watford podcast. They'll be coming and joining us at 8 o'clock tonight. So let's kick things off. Talk about the game on Good Friday at Swansea. So we drew 0-0. Usually, Miles, that's a point. You know, Swansea's a ground we don't really have a lot much joy at. I think we haven't won there since when I was born in 1981, which is donkeys ago. Usually that'd be a good result, but I guess that's 2 points dropped, isn't it? When you sort of look at the game and how it unfolded.
Well, to be honest with you, after a 5.5 hour journey, I was glad to come away with a point. To be honest with you, but I think any other time, I think Oggy hit on it on the way home, listening to him on the radio. He put the nail, the hammer on the nail and everything else, and he said that any other part of the season, it'd be a fantastic result. It would be a great draw away at Swansea. But with the situation that we're in, we are that close to the playoffs. And I mean, it is so nerve-wracking. You sat there in the stands on Friday. I keep saying Saturday, it's Friday. Sat there in the stands on Friday,
yeah.
and you sort of you're egging the team forward because you know how important it is. You know how close you are because we are that close, and it's like we've never been this close before, and it was so exciting to have that feeling, but also very nerve-wracking. In a way, it was a good point. We didn't lose. And as you know, the aim of the game is if you go away, don't throw the game away and lose it. Try and bring a point home. We brought a point home. And, okay, it would have been nice to get the 3 points. Would have been a point off the playoffs. But I'll take a point all day long because we've still got 6 games to go. 3 at home, 3 away. I believe that tomorrow is going to be an exciting day. I'm buzzing for it. I'm nearly fit and healthy. I've been really rough for the last 3 weeks, and I'm really buzzing for this tomorrow now. And but Friday it was frustrating. It was frustrating because we are that close, and it just means the world to all of us to get into that playoffs. It would be a dream come true. But they did a great job, and Ben Wilson stuck to his word. He said to me on Monday night he was going to get his 18th clean sheet. Boom, did he get it? And he wore his favourite jersey, which is his green shirt. And I wore my green shirt as well, just to make sure he got his clean sheet.
Yeah.
So happy days.
Yeah. But also, I mean, hats off to, I think it's about nearly 2,000 Coventry fans that went to Swansea. As you mentioned there, Miles, 5.5 hour journey. I mean, my friend Jeff, who I used to travel the games with, same scenario. He left at 9:15. He didn't get to his seat till 2:45. So it was just absolutely madness. I mean, I didn't go myself, and I'm guessing some of them glad I didn't go. But I'm glad you didn't see us lose, which is the most important thing. Ken, looking at the start of the game, a few changes were announced by Robbins at the start of the game. Dabo, Bidwell on the bench, and Jamie Adam returned to the starting 11 with Norton Cuffy at right back and Wilson Esbrand left back. Was you happy with the team that was announced, with the one up front, or would you approach the game differently for the Swansea game?
No, I was happy with the team. To be fair, I thought he got it right on the day. It was the right team. I thought they needed to give Godden a rest. I think he was looking a bit. He wasn't at it really, and I think away from home, Robbins does tend to play one up front on occasions, doesn't he? And with Jamie Allen coming back, I think that was the ideal time for Jamie Allen to slot in just behind Big Vic. But yeah, I was happy with the team. I was happy with their selection. Dabo obviously as well. He was been disappointing lately, so I thought he deserved to, be on the bench really. And it gives a chance for others players to come in and show what they can do. And to be fair, they did well. The players that came in did well. So I can't fault them really.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought Dab, as I said in previous shows, I thought Dabo's been pretty poor last few games, so I was quite happy to see him dropped.
Yeah.
I probably would have gone Burrows, but I wasn't against the selection of Norton Cuffy. I thought Wilson Esbrand was an interesting selection because I thought, in fairness, he did do well when he came on against Stoke.
Yeah, he did.
I would have gone Bidwell, but anyway, that's what it was. And I thought, one up front was a good team because I think it was a team that we wanted to have control of the game. We know, everyone knew at the start of the games, how much possession Swansea would have, and obviously they had about, I think the commentator said about 20% more possession than what we had. So it's about concentration. And I don't know about you, first half, Miles. It was a sort of a half where probably up till the Hamer missed, there wasn't a lot of sort of chances. There's a header, I think, or Wilson made one save from a free kick. I think it might have been Darling that took the free kick. But they didn't really threaten massively. I think it was, excuse my pronunciation, Incheba had a shot, which kind of a rasping shot that went just over the bar. But I thought it was a half we actually did okay, didn't we? I mean, we'll go to the Hamer miss in a bit, but I was quite pleased with how we performed first half. I thought it was a much improved first half, not obviously a much improved second half as well. But what was your thoughts on the first half?
It's very much like a Robbins-esque first half, to be honest with you, when you travel away. I mean, we've done every game this season, and when you go away, Robbins sort of works out the first half. He works the team out. He hopes to get in at 0-0 at half time and then change it slightly for the second half. You said about the shot that went over the bar. Wilson did have to put one round the post as well in the first half, so they did come close. I think we had the better of the chances. I think Callum Doyle had a shot as well in the first half, as well as Hamer. I can't believe Hamer missed that, to be honest with you. You're 1-on-1, and either him, Godden, or Victor, you would think that they would slot that to either side of the keeper. But for me, I thought it was a game of chess in the first half. They were really sort of sussing each other out. Swansea, as you said, had a lot of the ball, which we knew they would have a lot of the ball. They did at the CBS. Even last season when we played them twice, they had a lot of the ball. They work you hard off the ball. They try and tire you out. They try and drain you down. They watered the pitch a lot as well. The pitch was absolutely soaking wet. it was when the ball was moving out of the goal area, when you were playing it along the ground, you could see the water coming off the ball. So they sort of made the pitch quite heavy for Coventry to suit Swansea's style of play. So they would pass it around, we would have to chase it, heavy pitch, and it would tire us out. And I just think, the first half, it was a bit about getting to 0-0 at half time. And if we caught them on the break, like we did with Hamer, they made a mistake. Hamer latched onto it, one-on-one with the keeper. He's got to be putting it away, I'm afraid. I love the bloke. I don't think he had his best game on Friday. I thought he played a lot of loose passes, but then again, he played some fantastic balls. So, for what he puts in the fantastic balls on Friday, he put a lot of loose passes in, which didn't reach the target, unfortunately, which led for me to think that Vic had a real quiet game because he weren't getting the service. And when Hamer's on song and he supplies the balls to Vic, Victor can really go at a team. And on Friday, it just didn't really click for Hamer. I thought the referee had a bit of a shocker in the first half. There was a foul on Esbrand when he turned the player, flipped it through his legs, nutmegged him, passed it through to Victor. Esbrand got took out. Also, then Victor got took out. Didn't brandish a yellow card. He was too slow with his yellow cards, and then a shocking foul on Jamie Allen. Even Mark Robbins has said how shocking the foul was, and the referees played on, and they've gone up the other end, and they've nearly put it in the back of the net. I think that's the one you're on about when it went over the bar. I think it was from that situation with Jamie Allen. But I just thought the first half, it was a little bit of just sussing each other out. And I thought we played really, really well because when we got hold of it, we did try and catch them on the break. For me, I would have liked to have seen Esbrand and also Cuffy get forward a little bit more. But then if you got forward a little bit more, you would open a bit of space behind you, and then they could really jump on it, and you could probably lose the game. I think the most important thing for us in the first half was not to lose the first half, and we didn't. We went in at 0-0, which was brilliant.
Yeah, I think with Swansea, as you mentioned it, what they can do is they can just play through you. Their passing is really good, and there were times where they'd make a couple of passes to players and then we leave them unmarked, and it's that bit of movement. But yeah, I thought defensively we were good. I thought, in fairness, I think with the Hamer miss, I thought the keeper made a really good save, and I thought he was their best player in the 90 minutes. He's not even their first choice goalkeeper, I don't think. So it's disappointing miss. I think the thing with the Hamer one was, I don't know, what was your thoughts, Ken? Do you feel like it was almost like Hamer had too much time? He overthinked it. Could he just be a bit more instinctive? He could have just lobbed the keeper.
Should have scored from where we were. It was a clear opportunity, and he really got to do better. And whether he should have took it around the keeper, but normally in that situation he'll put it away, won't he? It was just a very poor attempt, really. It was an ideal chance for us to score and take the lead. And I agree with Miles. I think he had a bad game, to be fair. I don't think he did he's been like that the last couple of matches. I think he's been well below par what we expect him to be. He did a couple of decent passes, but he did give the ball away silly on a few occasions. And I say, when he gets chances like that, you've got to score and you've got to take them. And that's the difference of picking up 3 points or 1 point, isn't it? And could have been also different, really, for us. But yeah, it's disappointing.
Got a couple of comments here from our audience. Thank you for all your comments, and please keep them coming in. I've got a few comments about the game on Monday, which I'll read out later once we have the Watford guest on. We'll bring that on later. From Fessa D, it's been a frustrating game on Friday, but the main thing is we didn't lose or concede. Absolutely agree with that. The average Cov fan. We got 2 more points from Swansea than we did last season. Arguably, we should have won both games. Well, certainly the first game, we were 3-0 up. Still can't believe we didn't win that game. Let's go to the second half now. So, really, first 2 minutes, Swansea could easily have been maybe 2 up. They had 2 very good chances. One really good save from Ben Wilson, and then from the follow-up, I think Darling blazed it over. I mean, sitting there in the stadium, guys, I mean, you must have been expecting that to be going in the back of the net. I mean, certainly I was when I was watching on TV.
I think, as I was saying earlier on, it was very nerve-wracking. It was, you know, when they came out the traps, because they came out the tunnel before us. We left them waiting a long time, and we don't normally do that. So I don't know what was going on in the changing rooms at half time, but we did leave them hanging around, and maybe they tried to punish us for letting them, you know, just stand out on the grass just before we came out. For it must have been at least 2 minutes before, or 3 minutes before we came out the tunnel, and they probably just tried to catch us on you know, on an off chance. And yeah, I mean, when you're sitting there and you see it sky over the bar, you're thinking, oh, this is our day. And it really does. It really did feel like it was going to be a snatch and grab. I think I mentioned last week, I thought we were going to nick it 1-0, and it did look that type of game where we would nick it 1-0. It felt that way, because we were looking to catch them on the break or a mistake. And their keeper, yes, he was the reserve keeper, but he did have a mistake in him. And there was a couple of times where he did fluff it. He did try, and he couldn't get the ball out, and we sort of closed it right down. And when we put, they didn't sort, and that's where, and I'm going to say it, that's where we miss O'Hare, because he really high and much of a high press as much as we wanted, and you know, that's what sort of made it fail a little bit. But then Godden came on at half time, and he put in an absolute fantastic stint in the second half. I thought he tried to put the high press on as much as he could. He worked his socks off. He could have scored himself. He created a chance where, you know, he pulled the ball down. It was an awkward ball because I think it came over the top, and he was looking over his shoulder at it, brought it down, and he sort of knocked it a little bit too far, but he still got the shot away. And the keeper did a great save with his legs. He got down with his legs, as all keepers do, and he blocks it. And you know, on another day it would have gone in. It was one of those games where you just thought, we'll get them on the break. This has got to happen. And I think that you know, in a way, that's what you were thinking. And we were sort of wishing the ball in the net. We were behind the goal, and we were sort of just so anxious. It was a real anxious game. It was so anxious. It was unbelievable. I don't think I've ever been so nervous at a game in probably since the playoff semi-final. It was because we are that close. It just felt really sort of important not to lose that game and to come away with a point. It was a bit of a whew, we got that one over the line, and we're still in with the chance.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Godden miss. Yes, it was a good chance, but I think again the keeper has to deserve credit for that. It was a very good save. He's closed the angle down. You know, it's easy for us to sit here in a nice, comfortable area and say, "Oh yeah, he could have done this, could have done that." In the heat of the battle in the game, you know, things happen very, very fast. You've got to make a split-second decision. On another day, it goes through his legs, goes to the back of the net, and we say, what a great goal it was with Matty Godden. It was just one of those ones where, yes, it was a chance, but I think the keeper deserves credit. Like with the Hamer chance, it was a good save. I think Hamer, you know, in hindsight, could have lobbed it, as we spoke earlier about. But I think their keeper has kept them in the game. The one miss I was really disappointed about, I don't know what your guys' thoughts were. Your thoughts was Sheaf's miss in the second half, where he gets into a really good position. He's not really under pressure. In my opinion, he's got to go left foot into the far corner on the keeper's left. He goes right foot to the keeper's right, and he goes just wide. And for me, that was probably the worst miss of the game from our point of view, because you've got to go left foot. There's a massive gap there. Just go left foot across the keeper. If the keeper then spills it, someone then has to follow up, and there's a simple tap-in. That's for me was in my opinion our worst miss on Saturday. Or Friday, should I say? Would you agree with that, or am I being a bit harsh? Go, Ken.
Well, yeah, I don't think. I mean, it was a chance, I suppose. Yeah, and you expect Sheaf probably to do better, but. You know, I thought the Hamer chance was the big one for us in the first half, and that was a massive one. It was nowhere near like that. But yeah, on another day it could have got in. But look, you know, he's one of them, and he didn't go in, and it's just one of those. You can't really put too much blame on him, I don't think. I thought we did okay. You know, we could have done better, but just as the game went on, I thought we always had a chance of catching them on the break. I thought, which we did on a couple of occasions, but they're a good side. They're a good side, and Liam Walsh had a fantastic game, didn't he? Our ex-player. I thought he was excellent, and he's been out for an injury for a long period, and it was great to see him back on the pitch because he done really well for us, and he had a fantastic game. On Friday, I thought he was probably their man of the match, to be honest. And then they brought on Patterson, didn't they? And I thought, oh, here we go. When they bring him on, he normally scores against us. But to be fair, we kept him quiet. We kept him quiet as well, so we didn't do too bad really. But if you can't win the game, and the saying, if you can't win it, don't lose it. And we didn't lose it, and we're still in with a shout, aren't we?
Yeah,
I thought Patterson had scored an own goal for us, just to say, lads.
in fairness, though, guys, I mean, if you had a Swansea fan on right now, they would probably say, "Well, we had chance to win as well." It was that kind of game, the kind of game where it was set up, it was there for the taking for both teams. In fairness, but they weren't good enough to score, and I think we had a bit of a nervy moment towards the end. I think where we defended, I think it was a cross quite well. I can't remember the exact scenario, but I know it was a bit of a hairy moment, so to speak. But we had other chances. I thought, Haim had another chance second half, sort of on the near post. Wasn't really a chance, really. It was just a shot to the keeper's near post, which went for the corner. And again, on another day, that might just deflect off the keeper and go in the back of the net. It just wasn't to be on Friday. And also Callum Doyle, who I have to say, he's got a fantastic left foot on him from a corner.
Yeah.
I was sitting there thinking that I'm waiting for the net to bowl, just to be 1-0. Thank God for that. And it just went just wide. It was just so frustrating. And
we were down the front.
Yeah, it wasn't going to happen.
We were down. I was down the very front, and there was a steward standing in the way of that side of the net, right? And when he hit that shot, I was just waiting for the net to bulge, because I couldn't see it, and it went wide, and everyone in the stands thought it had gone in because and the keeper you were never going to stop that. He hit it so sweet, and I don't know how wide it was. I haven't watched the highlights or anything, but for me, it must have been so close, and nothing was ever going to stop that. But you mentioned about Ben Sheaf's shot. I think with Ben Sheaf, I think he, like us in the crowd, it was very nervy, and I think he was probably nervy. He was probably edgy, and he sort of rushed the shot. He sort of rushed his decision. Maybe I think he probably took a touch too much as he knocked it. I think maybe he should have hit it with his right foot then into the far corner or whatever. But I just think he sort of it was on just a knife edge. The whole game was on such a knife edge, and even the crowd. It was probably the quietest that the travelling Sky Blue Army had been all season, because I don't know if you've ever been to Swansea, but it's sort of on two tiers and we're sort of spread out quite a bit. So it was very difficult to get a song going. I think we only sung Doug King's song once all day. So the whole nerviness from the crowd to the players, and I think maybe Ben Sheaf just sort of rushed it a little bit and got caught out in two minds, bless him, because he normally does just bout it, doesn't he? You only got to look how well he did it at Blackpool and things like that. But yeah, Callum Doyle shot. Really, I was just waiting for the net to ripple on that one. But you were saying about how close it was. Swansea had 6 shots on target. We had 4. But their possession-wise, they were 65% possession. I mean, it was just ridiculous figures, that is. But then you expect that going up there because that's the way they are. The thing for me is we've got to get out of this league, because I ain't going to Swansea or Cardiff ever again. I'm fed up with going to Wales. Sick to death of it. Just want to go to the Premier League so we don't have to go to bloody Wales.
Yeah, well, I don't. The way Cardiff are playing, I don't think they'll be going down this season, unfortunately. Got some more comments in from our audience. Claudio, evening Claudio. We have, as you were speaking before, we've had 4 really good chances and at least 2 should go in. It's unbelievable to think that we've kept a clean sheet in almost half of our league matches and we aren't top 6. I mean, obviously, fantastic. Congratulations to Ben Sheaf and Ben Wilson in defence. 18 clean sheets, fantastic. Hats off. But has Claudio got a point there? The fact that we've kept, despite collecting 18 clean sheets, we still find ourselves 3 points adrift. Is that a fair assessment or not?
Yeah, definitely. I think. I mean, if you look at the whole season as a whole, if you look, we at the start we had the nightmare start where we played all the games away from home. We had a ridiculous situation about the pitch and stuff. Then we had the injuries. We had a catalogue of things that go against us, and to be where we are now, and if him, I remember he missed the first 3 games. I believe. I think Ben Wilson did. He hasn't played in all the games. So for him to have that many clean sheets is amazing. And it's just fantastic to see where we are. Really, I mean, the fans have got to remember where we were and where we are now. And if you'd have said we'd be like in the shout of the playoffs come April, then I'd have snapped your hand off. I think we all would have, wouldn't we? Because we've all been just happy to sort of stay in the league really from the start we had. But here we are, and we're sitting 3 points away from a playoff position. So. We've had a great season, and we can't knock them really. It's been fantastic.
I mean, the thing is, the season's not over yet. We've still got 6 games to go, and like Claudio says, yes, we've got 18 clean sheets. That's nearly half a season with clean sheets. But we know where we've slipped up. We know where we've gone wrong. One of the fans messaged earlier. We missed out 3 points at home to Swansea. We were 3-0 up. There's your 3 points. Wigan away. There's another 3 points. We'll drop 2 points. There's 5 points. We're in 5th place there. We're into 5th place. And you look at Millwall, away. Millwall away. We were in the lead. We blew it. And when you look at games like that, and there's even more than that. I could go on and on and on. But when you look at the way that Ben Wilson has done this, not just Ben Wilson, it's like he said Monday night, it starts with the whole team. Up front with Vic, midfield with Hamer, with Ben Sheaf, with O'Hare, all those injured now. It all starts back there, and then it comes back to the defence. And you think, I still say, if Casey Palmer and Callum O'Hare were fit all season, we'd probably be 4th or 3rd now, I'm afraid. I believe that's where we would be, because the team, it's not a big squad, and we keep saying 20 to 21 player squad. Everyone else has got a 39, 41 man squad. We're 9 or 11 players short of everyone else. We've got the 4th lowest budget in the league, and we're up there because of the way the team spirit is. It's the team spirit. It's the way they play together. The team's been together a long time. Remember now, that team's been together a long time. They work as a unit, and you strengthen each season. And that's what we've been doing. We've been gradually strengthening it. In January, everyone was moaning, "Oh, Doug King hasn't got his checkbook out." Well, no one gets a checkbook out in January. What's the point? We were nearly safe in January. I think we needed, was it about 15 more points to be safe in January? We got them well early, and that was by bringing in 2 loan players, or was it 3? 3 loan players, sorry. And we've managed to do it. And that's the thing. And now we're knocking on the door of the playoffs. And Friday was a fantastic performance. I thought for them lads to put that performance in. Do you know what? I don't know if you heard. It took them 5 hours on Thursday to get there. So
apparently
on a Thursday. So for them lads to go down there on a Thursday, ready to play Friday, we've all made it our way down there. It was a fantastic performance, and if anyone out there knocks it, then I don't know what you want from the team, because we've still got 6 games to go. Ben Sheaf will get another 3 clean sheets, so he's going to absolutely smash it. Not Ben Sheaf, Ben Wilson. Sorry, get another 3. I did the same as you, didn't I?
Yeah,
another 3 clean sheets, and he's going to smash it. And I believe. I know the Watford fans just come on here, and I'm just about to go now anyway. But I'm going to say it. I think we'll win. I think we'll win tomorrow.
Well, we'll bring them on very shortly. We're going to take a small break. So that's the end of part 1 of the show. So we're going to have a small break, just over a minute. Part 2, we're going to bring on our Watford guests. We're talking Watford, and then we'll preview the match. So come and join us. We'll be back very, very shortly. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. I'm going to introduce our Watford guests. I've got Pete from. Let's bring that's the stream now. Hi, Pete. How you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Well,
very good.
Well, good to have you back again. And I've got
Thank
another
you.
colleague, Justin. Justin, how you
Hello.
doing?
Yeah. Yeah. I was just listening to you boys backstage talking about team spirit, and I was like, I remember them days. Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean,
happy Easter.
Tell how this is going to go.
Yeah, happy Easter to you guys, and thanks for coming on our show. So first question to either of you: what's going on at Watford?
After you, Pete.
Cheers, mate. Thank you for that quick. You passed that. Yeah, it's been a bit of a nightmare. We're currently on our third manager, which just makes it a normal season for Watford. 3 is apparently the magic number according to De La Soul, not according to Watford fans. So yeah, I think the last time we spoke to you, I think we were probably on number 2 at the time. No, we were still on number 1 at the time. And obviously you came down to us, and Jokeris just absolutely tore us a new one. We went through Rob Edwards, who now finds himself pushing Luton further up the table, much to their joy and much to our exasperation. We've gone through Slaven Bilic, basically like, a dose of salts. And now we're currently with Chris Wilder, who also cannot get a tune out of our incredibly dysfunctional, thrown together over a stupid number of different managers, uncoordinated squad that basically know all they need to do is sit around for 12 weeks and a new manager will be coming in. So the club at the moment is pretty much tearing itself apart. I would say that was pretty much it. Justin, did I miss anything?
No, I don't think you miss anything there. Other than, for me, this is one of the most unlikable squads for many, many years. I don't care if any of them leave. They can all just go. I don't care anymore. Just go, get out of the club. None of them seem interested in playing for Watford. And it's just been one of those seasons where last season where we were so poor in the Premier League. We were really poor last year. I think we lost 11 games in a row at home, which is unforgivable, but that doesn't seem to have been a catalyst for playing any better this season. In fact, it means they just sort of carried it on, if you like. So you're going to hear a lot of moaning over the next half an hour, Coventry fans. I do apologise, but you're going to hear a lot.
But other than that, in fairness, it's all great.
Yeah. Other than that, it's all gravy, mate. Superb.
But I mean, it's a squad. Watford's a squad. I went to the game with Watford early in the season, and you got some very good technical players, really good footballers there. And you think, why aren't Watford? But forget about playoffs; they should be challenging the top 2. I mean, they've got a lot of talent there in that squad. Is it just bad attitude? Is it poor attitude of players? Do they sort of lack of too much confidence? What would you put it down to?
It's an appalling attitude. It's an attitude that is, as I mentioned there. I mean, people will talk about great players and they'll call out always João Pedro and Ismaila Sarr. Two very different issues, 2 very different symptoms manifesting themselves. João Pedro, we thought was going to end up at Newcastle at the start of the season. He didn't. He's almost in that kind of, if you remember when Wayne Rooney played under Sven-Göran Eriksson for England, and he sort of played up front, but we had, I don't know, Peter Crouch or somebody else. And so he'd end up going and playing wide left. And he'd drop in when to just get involved in the play. That's what João Pedro does. He's a great footballer. He will play for a really, really good football team. The yellow one will be Brazil and the other one certainly won't be Watford. He's a great player, but because the ball is never forthcoming, because the tempo that we play at from a tactical and technical point of view is so slow, he should actually be up there kind of supporting some, a reasonably good player on occasions like Keenan Davis. But Keenan Davis is a shadow of the player that, the Championship supporters saw at Forest last year. So we've got all of that. With Sarr, he has had, and Watford fans are fed up, as you may have got indicated from him over there, about the constant turmoil and turnover. Ismaila Sarr is currently playing under his 11th manager in 4 seasons.
Yeah.
So you can get the feel of how the fact that we are so much less than the sum of our parts. We are not. Every time we change direction, it's not because it's like, well, there's an idea, let's bring in somebody who might be able to take it on a little bit like, oh, I don't know, I hate to say it, but Luton Town went and got Rob Edwards because he played 3-5-2. We didn't back him. We didn't give him a right wing back, so we were playing square pegs in round holes all the time. They went and got him. He's a safe pair of hands. He's a nice guy. All of Luton Town is rowing in the right direction. Yes, the stadium is pitiful, but they're at least all going in the same direction. We've got an owner who has absolutely lost the fans. On Friday, there were the first signs of this was against Huddersfield. We lost 3-2, but we got a breakaway at 3-1 down. I mean, we were absolutely shocking in the second half. Pozzo out banners have come out. People have been ejected from the ground for bringing those out. So it really is, when I say it's ripping itself apart, it's genuinely ripping itself apart at this moment in time. We've had the finances. They don't look great. They certainly don't look great. And this is from our Premier League season where we still managed to lose £16 million. So the problem is with loans and debts of £124 million now, with total liabilities in the region of £250 million, that's a lot of issues at the moment. So apologies for the lack of laughs per normal, guys. Do apologise. No. It's not the happiest shop at the moment.
I mean, I guess the fear is if Watford, let's say for argument's sake, they don't get to the playoffs this season.
We're not
getting there.
Get it.
Not happening. So, I guess the concern for Watford is, are they a club really that could be destined to be in the Championship for quite a while, or even worse, maybe even go League One? I mean, that could be the work like a QPR. Obviously.
Well, unless something drastic happens, yeah. I mean, something needs to be addressed, and it's. Chris Wilder spoke about it after the defeat to Luton. He said this club needs a cultural reset, and that is something that needs to happen. There needs to be a complete slate wiped clean. We're going to have a whole new attitude from above, which is, okay, look, we are going to stick with a manager. We're not going to buy these sort of shop window kind of star players that just, it's very nice apparently to look at, but we're not seeing this. We need some nuts and bolts players that know the league. We need a manager that knows the league, and we need to kind of do the sort of things that Coventry are doing, or the sort of things that, God forbid, Luton are doing, or any of those other teams that are sort of in the top six, and we're just so far off that. It's heartbreaking, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing is that there is a complete disconnect with the fans and the ownership. We're at the moment in the midst of trying to broker a meeting with the chairman and with supporters later on in the summer. And you think, right, okay, we're trying to do that. We're trying to get somewhere with this. And then when we played Luton Town, the club decreed that you could only get to Luton by going on club coach, because Luton is twinned with Basra, apparently, or something. I mean, okay, don't get me wrong, it's a local rivalry and it's fierce and nobody likes it. But it's 2023. So they made everybody go in the coaches. Now, you may not know, but Watford is near to, basically, Leavesden Studios is based in Watford. It's where Harry Potter was filmed, and it's now got the Harry Potter experience. So wandering around Watford at any given moment might be 5 or 6 Harry Potter buses. So the club, in bringing the buses together, the first 2 were Harry Potter emblazoned buses as people went up to Luton, and then we had our asses handed to us on a plate. Now, anybody in Cov or at Luton, if they turned around and said, this is what we're doing, somebody in the organisation of the club would go, no, because that would be hideous and would embarrass our supporters. Somebody at the club has got a very, very difficult sense of humour to be able to tolerate permanently when we're like this at the moment. It really is. It's really at a tipping point of being able to laugh it off, especially once you go there and the team don't turn up, don't care at all, and then just basically are given dog's abuse by the fans because they turned up at the local rivals and did not shake a leg. Not one.
There is something a little bit more disturbing as well, actually. Just going back on the finances there.
This is like Samaritans, by the way.
I know.
It's good to emote.
Thank God for you guys, because otherwise, we just bottle it up. The finances, another worrying aspect of the finances is that we've mortgaged the parachute payments for next season. We've already had them. So we're not even going to benefit from those. So we haven't even really got that to kind of fall back on either. So there's some really concerned fans, and this meeting with the owner and the CEO in the summer is going to be I think, kind of key to restoring a little bit of faith in those above us. Otherwise, I don't know. I think there might be a few more banners, I would imagine.
Yeah, I guess Elton John wouldn't be fancying maybe putting his hand in the pocket again, maybe to come to the rescue, or is he done?
He's 75 years old. I don't think he fancies it anymore. I think he kind of alluded to it. He did a gig or 2 gigs at Watford last summer where he had a little bit of a rant, actually. It was quite refreshing. And there was a kind of a, I love you, Watford, I'll be back next year sort of thing. But I think that was more to sort of watch games rather than bail the club out. I don't think he fancies it at his age, and I don't blame him. I think he's been there and done that. Yeah. So we're now looking for eccentric billionaires or some sort of state to take us over, I think. But I don't know. I really don't know. It's kind of uncharted territory, this. I don't really remember this kind of, for the first time ever in my supporting experience, the whole crowd came together and sang "You're Not Fit to Wear the Shirt" on Friday. I've never heard that before. No. The whole ground.
And the honest truth is, as I said, they are the team. There are some good individual players. I'd say there are some horrendous personalities and characters in there. I mean, there's the odd, player that we've had for a while, like Craig Cathcart, etc., who's had so many miles on the clock for us. He go. It's beyond dispute. Should he still be, kind of in the team? You can argue, but he's not one of them. I wouldn't say. There's a couple of other players in there who might be fine, but as a unit, we are so much less than the sum of our parts. And the stories constantly coming out of the training camp, which is where our owner and the CEO, I believe, are more or less permanently based. So they're seeing all of this, is that it's toxic. And therefore, it's very, very hard to have anything to be able to get behind. And what you will see on tomorrow, basically, if we turn up and if we concede a goal, we are like a boxer with a glass chin. We have absolutely no mental fortitude whatsoever. And to the point whereby we in the season when we beat Luton, and we beat them 4-0 in October, and we were amazing. Well, we'd lost 2 games, Millwall and Blackpool, horrendously before that. We then kind of managed to get a couple of wins. After that, we've won 2 games back to back once. That's been it, because we are so flaky, so completely and utterly. Well, we thought we were inconsistent. We finally found a level of consistency because we're consistently just not turning up. And looking at us, we simply turn up and it looks like everything is improvised. Chris Wilder, his first home game, we played and we looked like we'd actually got something about us a little bit. Next game, gone completely, and we've not seen anything back that's been any use whatsoever. He came out after the Luton game and called out the players, called out the club as saying it needs a cultural reset, which is something that we've been talking about for an awful long time. And then the following Monday, he was stating to other people that actually he'd be quite interested in the job, and the tone changed. And so you just go, we'll see. But trouble at Mill, definitely.
From what you've eloquently described, it's a bit of a shambolic situation off the field. And got a question. I've got to turn our attention to the on the field stuff.
Go on.
Question from Kyle Colley. Question for Watford fans: how bad were you against Huddersfield in the previous match, and Luton before that? And do you think you've given up on the playoffs? And do you think Championship football is where you belong for another season?
Well, hello, Kyle. Hello, Carl. Happy Easter. Stand by. How were we against Luton? Dreadful. Normally, if this was our podcast, there'd be all sorts of swearing by now. Huddersfield, worse. Given up on the playoffs, yes. Probably the QPR match, I gave up on the playoffs altogether. Is the Championship where we belong? Yeah. On the performances and the attitude of the team, absolutely. And, like I said a few minutes ago, something don't change, we're going to be there for a very long time.
Yeah.
No, agree with that, and echo Mark's point when you said earlier on about, well, could you fall through? Bearing in mind our turnover He's about 120, 127 million in the Prem. It's about 57 last time we were in the Championship. We've just had our Premier League results and we've lost 16 million. We're now going to halve the turnover. The results are going to go the same way, and we're going to have to cut costs. We've got 5 loan players. They're going to be going. We're going to have to lose João Pedro and Sarr. So it will be start again. Now, most Watford players, or most Watford fans, I think, in answer to your question about it, are going to be quite happy if we are a mid-table Championship side, but we see fight, we see cohesion, we see a togetherness, the kind of thing that Miles was talking about before we got it, and if we see slow organic growth rather than just constant revolution of here's a whole load of other players and here's another manager, try and make pull a rabbit out of that particular hat. So the answer is, do we belong in the Championship? At the moment we do. Next season, who knows? We may be struggling to stay there the way things are going. That's why the conversation with the owner is so pivotal, because most people will know that our owners also own Udinese. They're bringing some finance in from the States. We will see what they have. The problem has been is our owner has not talked to us for about a decade. So everything has come through our chairman and CEO, and also only executive board member. So a board meeting is basically him talking to himself. You get the idea that there's things here that aren't quite right. And so basically, there's been no communication. Last year's effort at having we looked at you guys having fans forums in pubs enviously. Justin was practically dribbling with envy. Okay, we just haven't had that. We've got this opportunity now where they basically turned around and said, okay, if you want one, you sort it out. And you go, okay, all right, fine. So we're picking it up, and some of the podcasts, we're trying to get all the groups together, and now we want to poll everybody, literally internationally, who's an individual fan. We want to include absolutely everybody, because nobody's been involved in this before. So we need to have that sense of togetherness, that sense of cohesiveness, and then we play where we play. But in July, we might find out that they might turn around and say, you know what, we're back where we were in 2012, and this is what we're going to do to invest, and this is what we're going to try and do to get in the Premier League. And we may go, meh, and we might go, yeah, great, who knows? Until we know what it is, you can't empathise with somebody who refuses to communicate with you. We've now got the first window in that, and we don't want to miss it.
Yeah, and look, I mean,
can I just ask a question? I just ask a question to you, chaps.
Hey,
do you think Chris Wilder is the man for you going forward then, or would you want to change the manager yet again?
Well, I mean, I think he's only signed until the end of the season anyway. Well, I mean, if you look at results-wise, he's not the man, because he's not made any improvement whatsoever. In fact, things have got worse, I think, under Wilder. However, the words that he gave after the game against Luton and that he gives at press conferences makes me think there's someone there that could be good for the club. So, I mean, would I be unhappy if he was still with us next season? Probably not, because it might mean there's a bit of stability. It might mean there's someone there that actually does care. But, in terms of straight results, he ain't done it. He really hasn't done it. There's been actually a decline.
For me, Ken, it depends on if there is a plan and what that plan is. In the last year, we brought in a guy called Ben Manga, who was the technical director at Eintracht Frankfurt, and a whole host of scouts who've come in with him. Yeah. So we bring in a couple of players from Portugal. So we've got this player called Henri Carouge. He's got £100 million buyout clause. Okay, fine, buyout clause. He can't get anywhere near the bleeding team. He can't get anywhere near it. So, probably bringing in more loans from Benfica ain't going to probably work very well. My point with this is we bought him in. The question is how well does he get on with Wilder? Because the thing that we haven't had is coherence between the people who recruit and what the manager wants. You go back to Rob Edwards, 3-4-1-2. All the supporters identified it at the moment he played. Go and get Kane Wilson from Forest Green, Rob Edwards' old team, because we know we need a right wing back. No, refused to get it. Got this hodgepodge of other things that weren't anything to do with a 3-5-2. Kept Ismail Assar, who cannot play in a 3-5-2 to save his life, because he's an out-and-out right-sided winger, or maybe playing a 4-2-3-1 on the right. So it really comes down to what is the plan, and when you've got the plan, if it's not going to fit Wilder, we're going to need to have a coach who works coherently with the director of football, and then the director of football has to make sure that he doesn't fall out with Gino Pozzo, because Gino Pozzo is the gentleman at the end of the day who decides to hire or fire. And so that's the most important thing. I'm sorry, it's no kind of answer whatsoever, but that's the vagaries that we're operating in.
Yeah.
Got a question here from Glenn Watkin. Even Glenn, is it correct that there will be protests at the game against the owners?
Well,
go on, Justin.
Well, they tried it on Friday at Huddersfield, and the signs were taken away. Yeah, signs were taken away, and the person responsible was, ejected from the ground. So, there's rumours that people are going to try and do it, but I just think that when they've tried it previously, it's been that's not fireproofed, or can we see a fire safety certificate on that? Well, not really. It's a sheet off my bed that I've written on in black pen. They don't tend to sell them in Woolworths. Hiya, can I have a pot so out banner, please? So I would think there's going to be vocally. There may well be, but in terms of you seeing banners and stuff, if they can get them through, there will be. But then you risk being chucked out. So yes and no.
And if you go back to when Rob Edwards was sacked, Slaven Bilic's first game was away at Stoke, and people travelled up. And again, I have to just emphasise something really quickly here. Rob Edwards was supposed to be, in the words of the aforementioned CEO, chairman, and one executive director on the board, was the start of a change of a culture. We were going to be doing things differently. We realised the error of our ways. We're going to go, and everybody heard that. It was like mother's milk. Thank God for that. 10 games in, he gets the tin tag, and you go, oh right. So lots of people, very hacked off, travelled to Stoke. And all of the, as you say, the blankets or the sheets, all of the protest stuff was taken away by stewards who'd been bussed up there, apparently. So it'll be interesting. Of course, we then went and played Stoke, and we stuffed them 4-0. And everybody's going, oh, Slaven Bilic, that's a bit of all right. Because we're nothing if not football fans, and therefore extremely fickle. But in this particular instance, they will be there. Whether or not they get through the stewarding, we'll see. One gentleman had, I think it was actually a black towel with "Potso out" written in black letters, and he was ejected by I don't like to use the word Stasi, but they were wearing high vis jackets and were throwing them all out. There had apparently been rumours, we hadn't heard anything about it, that there might be a protest on 75 minutes, and therefore suddenly on 70 minutes extra stewarding came out all over the place, and everybody, because they must have read it on some board somewhere when some keyboard warrior was going, oh, we're going to do this, going to do. They bit, and suddenly it was like, wow, I've never seen so much fluoro in one place. Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I sympathise with your situation, because obviously being a Coventry City fan wasn't that long ago. We were in the same boat. We were playing at the CBS Arena. We were playing in Northampton, in Birmingham, and the owners weren't really talking to us. And now we've just, obviously, Doug King's now our owner, and it's completely like chalk and cheese. The fact that Doug King's been very, very transparent with us supporters. He's been to a few supporter forums. He's told us what his plans were in the January sort of transfer window, what he wants to do, and he's stuck by his word. And it's amazing when you just get a new owner in, it makes a big difference. And I think it sounds like Watford are a big football club, big fan base. And really, they should be. I think they've completely underachieved this season, really, as a football club. But obviously, it hasn't been helped by an owner that keeps sacking managers left, right, and centre. I mean, I even joked last year there was more more prime ministers than there were Watford managers. I think it was all the other way around. I can't remember. But the point is that it's a club that really have underachieved, and it's been a poor season. But all I can say is, from a Coventry perspective, we've been there. We've had bad owners ourselves, and it's probably been worse for me as us as supporters, because we weren't even playing out in the home city of Coventry. We were playing outside. So I completely sympathise with the situation, and I hope it gets sorted out, in the summer or whenever, really, in the future. So
I think the term "bad owners" is disingenuous, to be fair, because before the Potsos turned up, we hadn't had a sustained period in the Premier League. We had a sort of a 3-sided stadium with one stand missing. They've made that stadium look amazing. I mean, that really does look nice now, Vicarage Road. We had 5 continuous seasons in the Premier League. We went to an FA Cup final. We had some lovely looking players come and play for us. Gerard Delafeo, Abdoulaye Doucouré, Richarlison started his England career at Watford. So we have seen some nice players come through as well, and we've seen some nice football. The past 4 years, in fact, it was quite interesting because the 7th of April 2019 was the day that we beat Wolves 3-2 at Wembley in that semi-final. Fast forwards 4 years, and we got our goalkeeper in the opposition penalty area getting sent off, and we've got the crowd singing "You're not fit to wear the shirt." There's your window. That's the window where things have gone downhill. So bad owners, not necessarily. Owners that have taken their eye off the ball, certainly.
Yeah, definitely. No, most certainly. But yeah, no, we appreciate we're not the only people to walk this track, and I think we'd also be, if Gino Pozzo turned around and said, "Look, we've been relegated twice. It's been a pandemic, and it's been look, our money's tight, and this is what we're going to have to do." Most supporters would go, "Okay, we understand where we are. We know that we need to set our expectations," but to just get no communication, which is why this meeting, which a number of podcasts and various people have got together to try to push for this. We've been fortunate enough to get it. It's probably very convenient for the club to give it to us finally. They've probably got to do it we know they've got to do it via EFL regulations, etc. At least one. So we're going to try and make the best of it, and hopefully that might turn us around, because we know the likes of yourselves, the likes of Blackpool, there are some really much more difficult stories than where we are at the moment. Those are absolutely the siren calls that we're aware of and that we need to try to nip in the bud if we possibly can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Got a question here from Shoesmith Drones. Can you ask the guests what their perception of Coventry are at this moment in time, and what your thoughts are on Mark Robbins?
Well, first of all, he'd only last about 2 weeks at Watford. No, we think he's brilliant.
That is true. Yeah,
he's absolutely. What? First of all, I think personally, and I'll hand over to Just to do it, is the fact that he's been with you through thin, and he's still there. And, I know he was linked to the Norwich job and various, I think he was linked to Sunderland at one time, and he's still there. When we saw you come down to us, we thought you were the most coherent, rapid counter-attacking side that we'd seen. Absolutely, and you have done your business, shall we say, quietly, stealthily, over a period of time, but almost organically, if that makes sense. You just built and built and built and built. Whereas, we've been kind of, here's 20 players, throw that at it. Yeah. So it's admiring, and sorry, I'll blow smoke up your arse. You're Coventry City. You deserve a little bit of smoke after the years you've had. He's brought you back. You're kind of hopefully you'll be able to stay for a while. Mike Ashley obviously is always interesting. But you're back where you are. You've got a very, very well respected manager who's done it the hard way. He's had years and years at the. No disrespect, but for the lower levels, if it's happened, he's probably come up against it. And what we've seen with you playing, if he's done it once, you know what, he could put another team together when the Premiership teams come in for, the like of Jokeres and I can never pronounce it, and but a Sheaf and the like, and So no, very, very admiring. Just
and well that basically, and the fact that I fully expect us not to win tomorrow. That and that's not saying we're absolutely terrible and you'll nick it. I think you've got a much better team that will actually turn us over if we don't, like Peter said, it's the glass jaw. The first glove that's laid on us, we go, oh god, we don't like this, and then we sort of crumble. If we sort of come at you and maybe get an early one, things will be different. But it's if I was to go down with a tenner now, they're not open yet, but put a tenner at the bookies, whack it on Coventry tomorrow, I think, because there's no chance we're going to win, I don't think. And that's really sad, I think, in a way, because I think we felt like that really for most of the season, and certainly last season. Last season was terrible. And I think we all thought, okay, draw a line, new division, supposedly teams that are not as competitive or whatever. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. This division is competitive. And we found that out to our cost. I don't know if you're going to get onto score predictions or whatever, but at this stage, I'm saying I'm not confident.
Yeah, I mean, for those who listen to my podcast, I'm never ever confident about Coventry winning games, but I think listening to you guys, I feel quite excited by what you're saying. So, I'm there.
Yeah.
But but going back to Mark Robins, I would say he's made it public when he's spoken to our fans forums that he wants to take us back to the Premier League. He loves the club, and you're right. He's taken us from League Two, got us out of League Two in the first season, spent 2 seasons in League One. The third season now, the Championship, and we finished mid-table last season, 12th. And I'm of the opinion that if we get around top 10 this season, I can't say we'll get in the playoffs, but I think if we get top 10, that's still good progress. Mm-hmm. And if you make a bit of progress season after season, and make add a few players to it, but not too many players. Obviously, under the previous owners of Sisu, we didn't have the money. We had to rely on, there was some good youngsters coming through. We've added quite a few loans here and there, but I expect us to be probably top 10 this season. If we get playoffs, that'd be amazing. But I don't think there's not the pressure of Mark Robins under the owners. He's probably got one of the safest jobs in the division.
Quite right,
because he's doing an amazing job, and probably, in my opinion, arguably our greatest ever manager. Obviously, for those who lived in the 60s, and that would say Jimmy Hill. But Mark Robins in current times has been an absolutely brilliant manager. Absolutely fantastic.
Well, you look at Watford. We're built on the legacy of Graham Taylor. There's no two ways. Yeah. And he took us from the 4th to the 3rd to the 2nd to the top tier. Went away, came back, and took us back from the 3rd to the 2nd to the top. Yeah, we finally got relegated in the end, but the Premiership had all changed since then. But that ability to have somebody that not only identifies with you, but you can identify with him, makes everything an inclusive club. At the moment, we struggle with anything approaching an identity because the manager changes. The players, we've got 5 loan players, all whom are pretty much making up the starting 11. So that's rip and replace. It could be considered good husbandry because we get that wages off the books. That's fine. But what you've got to try to do in this instance is build something coherent, and that seems to me, as good a compliment towards somebody like Mark Robins as possible. He's built stuff coherently. He's built it with you. You've watched it. You understand what he's gone through, and he has credit in the bank. One of the things when both Bilic and when Rob Edwards went was, as I said, look, everybody's fickle. All football fans are fickle, to be honest. But it is the fact that we had become culturally used to, they sacked another manager. Who's the next one then? Yeah. Yeah. And when we do a kind of a phone in after games, after every game, and when the games weren't going well, the first questions are, so how long do we think he's got? Because we know the owner's going to sack him, and then we become this self-fulfilling prophecy. I think, and I can't speak for all fans, nobody can, but I think there's an awful lot of people who would like to see one. You mentioned the academy. Our academy has finally brought some bits through after years of it being extremely lean gruel. We would love to see the academy being defended and improved, because at the moment we're kind of, I think we're category 2. So, United or City come in and go, Jadon Sancho, yeah, we'll have him. Harry Amas is the latest one who's being prized away seemingly by Man United. But we would also like to see a route through to the first team for some of these players, and then have some players who have got championship experience. Ideally, one of the things that you'll see with us is there's nothing wrong with having a plethora of nations being represented, but a lot of these guys come in and in their first season they're going, what the hell is this? Welcome, it's the Championship. It's unforgiving, it's relentless, and if you don't, our biggest problem has been if talent doesn't work hard work will beat talent every time, and that's exactly what we've had. Those shocking attitudes, lack of application, tactics going here, there, and everywhere, recruitment going here, there, and everywhere. It's just been an absolute mess. That's one of our many problems.
I think it's about team spirit, as you say. You mentioned about the cohesiveness. About the one thing about Coventry City is one thing Mark Robins has done really well is instilled a fantastic team ethic. That the cohesiveness amongst the players. We've got some very talented players, as you know, with Gyökeres and Gustavo Hamer, Callum O'Hara, who's obviously injured. But every player, they're all pulling the same direction. And I think that's the difference between ourselves and yourselves at the moment. Is Watford I've got a lot of talented players there who could easily play Premier League, but there seems to be no direction. But then when you've got no direction from the very top, that then goes all the way down to the playing staff, and it's what you said earlier with the financial situation of the club. It's a very, very dangerous situation for Watford. I mean, obviously Watford aren't the only club in the Championship doing badly financially. Obviously Reading been docked points. Been rumored that Birmingham City possibly being docked points. Obviously there's nothing on that yet, but it's definitely a slippery slope situation with Watford, because the danger is that you could get sucked. I mean, not this season, but certainly next season, if things don't improve off the field, that could have a massive impact on you sort of looking to next season. And could you be slipping down like a QPR, possibly flirting with relegation? That's the problem.
The finances, and one of the things being looked at was we bought a player in last season. We signed him in January, and he won the Player of the Season award. I mean, that tells you everything about last year's Premiership. But that was 1 or 2 pains ago. We'll come back to this level of torment. And we sold him during the January transfer window to Udinese for £16 million. Well, if he's worth 16 million, I'm worth a good 6. And then we got him loaned back immediately. And of course, every other team in the Championship has gone, hang on, and I can understand why. Because so what we would like to see is a bit of transparency, a bit run on, okay, if we've got to run frugally, I don't care, as long as the club is there, as long as we're playing in the borough of Watford, to echo your pain, guys, then fine, I'll go and follow them. They'll have my money, and I'll be buying shirts and season tickets and all sorts of nonsense. But the difficulty of having so much that is so opaque, you just can't get to see it. The finances came out last week. They are released on, I don't know how familiar you are with finance. They're always released on the minimum level of information. You looked at the Watford FC ones. You actually have to, in order to take a look at it, look across the group ones. Because there's stuff going all over the place. I'm not saying there's any funny business there, but it's like, why do you have to make everything so difficult? Why does everything have to be at the embarrassment level to supporters? Because Watford used to ask people what Watford meant. They'd say John Barnes, they'd say Graham Taylor, they'd say Elton John. And you go, yes, that's what we're known for. Now it's, how many owners do you go through every 5 minutes? Now we can defend it all the way that we like. And of course, whilst we were doing very well, and the ownership, exactly as Justin said, the ownership bought us a model that saw us replicate literally Graham Taylor and Elton John's era. We can't, we weren't bleating about it during then. Let's be honest, hands up. Well, some were, in fairness, and off of the hat to them. Yeah. But the moment it's come off the rails, everything is just so strange and so unexplained. And so, as I say, to the point where yesterday, middle-aged men are having towels with Pozzo out written stripped away from them and then being ejected from the ground. Now, we need to find out both sides of that story to find out about it properly. But it was a very, it was a dealing with it that lacked both grace and class. And that's sort of where we are a little bit. The current ownership need to, a lot of people will just say the current ownership need to go. Well, that needs somebody to take it over in the first place. So that's a stage removed. If they want to come back in and get back to where we were, there needs to be a certain level of, quite frankly, humility shown and demonstrated, and a realization that some of the things that they have said, and especially a lot of the things that they have done, have been so out of kilter with the family club ethic of Watford that, but quite frankly, some apologies need to be made from the very, very top table, because that is not what we are. That is not what we represent. And he's been bought in, and he's done a great job. And when they first came in, you thought we've won the Euro Millions jackpot in terms of ownership. But boy, oh boy, are they trying to waste their legacy. Very, 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 very disappointing. But there we go. Sorry, guys. We'll just moan till about midnight. So let you get back with your show.
Well, let's concentrate on the game tomorrow. So obviously, Daniel Bachman got sent off against Huddersfield and is probably a 3-year suspension. Yeah, that was a bit.
3 years, yes, please. Let's suspend him for 3 years. That'd do me.
I meant 3 match, but actually, I think
No,
it's
3 years. I'd rather have 3 years.
Yellows.
It was 2 yellows.
You
It was 2
might have
yellows.
you might have wished it was 3 years, maybe. I don't know. But
he seemed to try and take somebody's head off, but being Daniel Backman, he missed, so it's only a yellow.
First time I've seen him off his line, to be fair. Anyway, do continue. Yeah.
Any other changes for tomorrow? Any other injury suspensions ahead of the game other than that?
Not that I know of. Davis has got a tight hamstring, hasn't he? So he didn't play against Huddersfield. I wouldn't expect to see Davis play. Please don't let Davis play. Apart from that, I can't think of anybody really that's going to be missing tomorrow. Can you, Peter?
The first 20 minutes on Friday were okay. We're okay, and you could see it tipping away. We played with João Pedro instead of in the sort of hole, dropping into midfield a lot, was playing up front. And then after 20 minutes, he went and did exactly what he'd done, which was sitting deep and playing deep. And that meant that we got no reference point up front. So we weren't even playing with a false 9. There was absolutely no 9. So we will see. The player who might be missing would probably be the pretty much the man of the match from Saturday. He got the first goal. Yeah, a young lad called Yasser Asprilla. He's basically built like an angle poised lamp and is about as tall. But he is a class player. He's like a Poundland Phil Foden, if you will. Very, very classy little Colombian lad.
Stealing that.
Well, you do with most of my material, in fairness. It's so yeah. He might not be there. One of the great disappointments on Saturday was that we didn't see some of the youngsters, and I imagine we might see players like Adeyemo. You might see hopefully somebody like Jack Greaves and Adrian Blake, who are 3 of the lads who've come through. They're playing in the under-18s. They also play in the under-21s. They had a great run in the FA Youth Cup. And a lot of people forgave a lot of stuff when we were going through injuries in January because they stuck the kids in. And it was like, right, well, nobody's going to moan at them as much as they will moan on some Ponzi player who thinks he deserves to be in the Premiership but isn't. And that's why you're on loan, mate, who's earning, kind of mid 5 figures. And you think, no. Whereas the kids, that makes a whole lot better. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if you see an injection of youth, possibly including the goalkeeper, because we've got our substitute goalkeeper as a gentleman called Okoye, who was the Nigerian international goalkeeper. I think that was probably to win a bet. Probably that's the only thing I can see.
£6 million bet. Jesus Christ!
£6 million. He has played 1 game, which was in the League Cup against MK Dons.
Again, that was up against Reading as well. He did play too.
He did. He was awful in both, I'm afraid. Sorry. Lovely guy, Maduka Okoye. We interviewed him. Lovely fellow, but he looks like a year at Watford has done his nerves to pieces. I shouldn't wonder. He probably needs a move to get away. And we've got what's his name, Hamer, not your one, obviously. Who will probably, I imagine, deputise. And bearing in mind, a couple of weeks ago we pulled an under-21 keeper back from on a non-league team somewhere. He'll probably be, I imagine, deputising. I don't imagine Okoye will probably be there, but I stand to be corrected.
I think it's interesting. You think we're going to be playing some of the kids? I'd be surprised, but if he does, that'd be great because that's what the fans are asking for, certainly. But whether he does or not remains to be seen.
We shall see.
I'd like to think so. Yeah.
Would you expect to see Ismaila Sarr starting? He was on the bench against Huddersfield previously.
He was
someone that he'd start.
Yeah, he was on the bench against Luton as well. No, I don't think he'll start. To be honest with you, and to be honest with you, don't be worried about Ismaila Sarr. A lot of people go, "Oh, Ismaila Sarr." Don't be worried about Ismaila Sarr. He's not up for it. He just wants to transfer away, and I think he's trying to protect his legs for, his next move away. So don't worry too much about Sarr because he's not the player that everybody thinks he is.
Yeah. If ever anybody has got to the parenthood stage where your kid is 17 and you ask them to clean their room, the body shape they throw, that's Ismaila Sarr most of the time. It's right. It's like, where have your spine and bones gone? He has to play, as I said earlier on, he's a right winger. Well, anybody who knows Wilder, and we all got called lazy by Wilder for saying that he would play 3 at the back. So what's he do? He's played 3 at the back. And therefore you can't fit him in. He's not a right wing back. No. He can't play up front. Definitely not. Because competing for a header is, I don't know what it is. I think it would bring on a family curse or something. There's definitely a reason he doesn't want to do that. And we've described him as a player of moments, but we've called him that for 2-3 years. You know, i.e., he can be devastating for 30 seconds, and in a highlights reel, oh my God, what a player! In you know, watching him week in, week out, oh my God, I think gouging out my own eyes on occasions would be preferable. His stats don't look bad because he'll come up with the assists, but he'll do that in a moment of wonderment for 10 seconds, and then the rest of the 89 minutes and 50 seconds, there. Whereas, as I said, Pedro is different. He works too hard.
Yeah, I remember watching Sarr, I think, in the League Cup when Watford we beat us 5-0, I think, in the League Cup game. I want to say first round, something like that. And I think Sarr was on fire that game. And then on the game I went to Vicarage Road in October, he really was poor. He just didn't turn up. Not the only player, obviously, but.
We quote that game. There was a moment, and I think it was 3-0, because he got the first goal in the first half. In the second half, the ball got played to him, and I always reference this. He was on the sideline, kind of where it interfaces with the centre line, so to speak. So right now, and a ball got passed out to him, and he had a touch. I mean, oh my God, it's heading towards the corner flag, and we went, oh grief! And suddenly it was like meet, whoosh, and he just went, and it was like, oh my God, like this is the opening scenes to Star Trek. They've engaged hyperdrive. What have we got here? The last 2.5 years, he hasn't wanted to push it and go. He doesn't want to do it. So it's like, you know, it's like having someone with a fabulous car in a holiday home that refuses to use them. That's the issue with him. Yeah,
no, absolutely. Going to bring Ken back in. He's still in his car, I think.
Yeah, turn the light on, Ken. Here he is.
Yeah, he's there. He's all right. He's emerged. So for this game tomorrow, Ken, I mean, what's the approach for your Mark Robins? Do we go 2 up front for this game? Do you go 1 up front? I mean, me personally, I'd like to see a second striker. That'd be my view. We obviously no Jamie Allen now. What's your view?
No, I think he'll stick with 1 up front tomorrow. I really do. Simply because I don't think Godden's quite at it at the moment. I think he'll have Godden on the bench and might bring him on if we need him later on. Especially with Jamie Allen missing as well. I just got a funny feeling he'll stick with 1 up front, and he might bring in, you know, that extra midfielder to replace Allen. That's what I think he'll do, personally. But you just never know with Robins, do you? But I say we're down to the bare bones as it is, though, aren't we? We know we haven't got many options really on the bench, to be fair. So
have you got Gyökeres?
Big Vic will play up front. Yeah, he'll stay. He'll start.
Have you got somebody who can kick it in behind our back line?
That'll
do you. That'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be all right there. Don't worry about that.
it did for us last year, definitely.
Yeah, we've just got a few injuries midfield wise. We've got a hell of a lot of injuries midfield wise, so we just got to try and cope the best way we can. We've got O'Hare out, we've got Casey Palmer out, now we've got Jamie Allen out, injured. So that's three of our midfield players that would normally start on any other day. But I just think personally, I think he'll stay with Big Vic up front on his own.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. I think end of the day, this is a massive game for us. We need the 3 points to put the pressure on the teams above us. I think as the gentleman very eloquently put, I think Watford are in a pretty bad position on and off the field, and we've got to take advantage of that. So it's a great, fantastic opportunity to pick up 3 points and put some pressure on the teams above us, and I think we can do it. I feel not really confident, but you know, no game is easy. But I think we can get that result. So we'll go predictions now. So I know Justin, you mentioned before that you're not feeling confident. So what's your gut feeling for me tomorrow?
Right. Okay. Well, look, I'd be flabbergasted if Watford won. I mean, it'd be a shock if Watford won, and that really is the honest truth. I just don't think we got it in us. So. Drawing isn't something that we've been doing a lot of recently either. I think you guys are going to win, and I think you're going to win 2-0. There you go.
Yeah. Pete, what's your view?
I ideally hope that Chris Wilder finds this and plays it to them, or any other fan research that says this is what you are, guys. You are an absolute shower. You are less than the sum of their parts, and you're threatening it. It's interesting to hear that you're kind of, as you say, down to the bare bones. But if you've got players who are coming in and having character, and our guys turn up as they have done for the last few games, bearing in mind we were playing QPR the other day. Now, you know what QPR have been doing? They've been flatlining. No. We're like a fucking defibrillator for anybody who looks like they're flatlining. You know, the first win that they'd had since December. Oh yes, we home interview, and then you get all them going over and going, oh, well, sorry, we tried, we put on our kit and everything. Useless. I would say 3-0. I'd say 3-0. I have very little, and I'm actually the positive one out of the two of us, believe it or not. It's true.
You're not.
No. I'm being realist. I don't. If as long as we see heart and if he plays the kids and whatever happens, I don't care, because we are not going to make it. We're still flabbergasted that we're within 6 points of sixth place. But that says for me everything about the championship this year. You just needed to get somebody to actually turn up and have some level of a kind of momentum and consistency, and then you're in. It's not been there, but we've been the worst of it. We've been the flakiest. So no, 3-0. I'll be more than happy to see that and see some of the kids go out and actually Wilder drop a few of the plumped up idiots who think that they're worth more than they are. You are where you deserve to be in football because the league table tells you where you are.
Yeah,
exactly.
Excellent. Kim, what are you going for?
Yeah, you're right there. The league table doesn't lie at the end of the day. I suppose we've had that same situation where we've dropped points and where we should have dropped points, and picked up other points where we didn't expect it. So, and you're right, anybody can beat anybody on the day in this league. We've seen it many a times. Some strange results. But yeah, I'm going to go for a win. Surprisingly, I'm going to go for a win. I think we'll win. I'm going to go for 3-0. I'm going to go with you, Pete. 3-0.
Well done. That's never been an advisable strategy going with me in any sense, but that's fine, Ken. You're welcome. Take a seat.
I'm going to go with 3-0 because obviously they're not. I ain't got. From what I've been listening to, you both in very interesting. They're not. I haven't seen much of Watford. I've seen a bit of it on telly, but I haven't seen much of them. But I know they've got some good players. So at the end of the day, you can't underestimate. You can't underestimate anybody on the day, but I'm pretty confident we've got to try and, after a disappointing point, I suppose, at Swansea, in a way, we could have won it. If we get 3 points tomorrow, 4 points from 2 games keeps us in with a shout, doesn't it?
Mark, what are you going for then?
I think we'll win 3-1. I think it'll be a nervy game. I think it might be like a 2-0. Watford might come back into it 2-1. And I think we'll get the third goal to clinch it. But look, I'll just take 1-0. Any win at the moment. 3 wins. If we can get 3 points.
Have you not been listening to the phrase Watford coming back into it? I mean, come on. This isn't going to happen.
The thing with you don't know what team Watford turn up, because I've seen Watford this season games. You won at some good ground. You won at Norwich, for example. You beat, obviously. I saw the game against obviously Luton at Watford, and you beat them 4-0, and you were so good. And it goes to show, what you can't underestimate any side, despite what you guys are saying.
That was
You've
October.
got to go into the game the same. You've got to be up for it. And
that was October.
It's a big, but it's a big carrot for us if we get three points tomorrow.
You're right.
Could be 6, so we've got to be up for it. And despite all the off-field troubles, Watford have got some talented players, and I think Mark Robbins will remind the players of that. There's no easy game in this league, and I think we'll be good enough to win. I think the only thing that concerns me is the injuries situation, but. If Hamer and Gyökeres put on the show tomorrow, I'm confident that we can get the 3 points. I'm going to say 3-1, and it's important the fans get right behind the players, and we've got to take advantage of the situation with Watford, because as the guys have eloquently said tonight, there's a lot of problems on and off the field. And the team spirit there isn't as good, and we've got to take advantage of that. So hopefully we'll win. But I think we can do. So I'm going 3-1. Guys, I think it's been great. It's been great having you on tonight. It's been really fascinating listening to all things Watford. And I genuinely hope that things get sorted out for you, because it's a bit of a rubbish situation. But obviously, as I said earlier, we've been ourselves as fans. So our sympathies are all with you, and. I hope Watford. Hope things change.
It's a roller coaster. If there weren't any downs, the ups wouldn't be any good. The only surprise was last year we thought we got actually to the bottom of a down bit on the roller coaster, and then a trapdoor opened up and went, "Oh no, we're still going." Okay, fine.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I heard, I think it Miles say earlier on that you got, like, one of you guys, you got the fourth lowest budget. We've got the highest budget, and that's why there's a gentleman in the notes said, "Yeah, but you're only 3 points behind us." Yeah, but you're millions behind us in terms of budget, and we are still 3 points behind you. That's part of the problem. But anyway, no, guys, good luck after tomorrow, obviously.
Yeah, same to you. Yeah, and obviously, good luck for the rest of the season after tomorrow. So yeah, that rounds off tonight's show. So thanks once again to our guests, Ken, Miles, who was on earlier, Justin, and Pete from Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast. Thanks, guys. Reminder of our competition. So that'll be drawn our 200th episode of Sky Blue Fans TV, which will be on Thursday. If you're around at Dillon's tomorrow pre-match, Miles will be there with some competition entries, the Sky Blue Fans TV business cards, which will give you the opportunity to win some prizes, which we'll announce on Thursday. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for all your comments tonight. Really appreciated. And we'll speak to you on Thursday. Thanks for listening. Good night, perhaps Sky Blues.
Cheers, chap. Cheers, lad.